Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this debut of our new SAHelp feature, the Appointment Scheduler. So a couple quick introductions. My name is Jeff Marquis, and I am the Director of TSAM Services for Data Paradigm. And also on our call is Eduardo Rodriguez, who is our Director of TSAM Relations. And so this new feature of SAHelp, which we really believe is going to help increase the efficiency. I was sharing with Captain Jeremiah Romack yesterday about how we want to both make our caseworkers more efficient, but also give some more flexibility to the people that we are assisting, the clients. And this scheduler does both of those things really well. And so we are excited to share with you. And so what we're going to start with here right off the bat is we are going to pretend for right now as if the email has already been sent out. So we are going to be dealing with this application here. And so a caseworker would have already gone in and submitted a request for an appointment. So we'll talk about what that means in a second. But let's talk here briefly, just so we can see how simple it is for our applicants to be able to schedule their appointment. And so once the request gets sent out, they will receive an email and or text, depending on what they've opted in for, that's going to explain to them that an appointment has been requested. And this is going to be their first screen that they would see. Remember, this is designed to be on a mobile device. We find that over 90% of our SAHelp users right now are utilizing mobile devices. And so this is going to be at the convenience for they can get this message while they're at work, on a break, or over lunch, and they can go ahead and get this scheduled. And so let's quickly go over what they're seeing. They're seeing that, that Jeff Marquis, the caseworker, would like to schedule a 30-minute meeting concerning your application for electricity that you submitted on the 13th of October. And so as we come here, you can see, and then over on the right, you'll see the specifics of that invitation. So this is the application ID. That's more of a reference as a whole, but you can see, first off, when does this invitation expire? These invitations, while they can be open-ended, you can put a finalized date in which the applicant has to schedule something by a certain date. So in this case, they've been instructed that you have to schedule by October 20th. Now, and the meeting has to be scheduled between today, the 13th, and 2 weeks from now on the 27th. And then you can do one of these types of meeting types, a video conference, a telephone, or in person. And then lastly, some additional instructions that the caseworker provided. Please bring your bill and lease agreement with you as a part of the meeting. And so I'm going to come on here, and as they're instructed, what type, in order to see the dates that are available, what type of meeting do you want to have? And so I can select video, telephone, or in person. Well, I know that I don't like phone interviews, and so I'm going to select video conferencing and in person. I'll click next. So it gets to this point, and they will see on their screen all of the times that are available for what I've selected, and those are bold here. So I'll look here on Monday, and I can see here as I scroll through what my time slots available are. So it's still a 30-minute meeting, but I can start at 8:30, 8:40. It goes in 10-minute increments, as well as the type that's available. Not every slot, as you can see here, is going to have both types available. On Tuesday, they're only available for a video conference, while on Monday, it can be video conference or it can be in person at this address. And so it gives specific information. So if I'm the applicant, I'm going through, I'm trying to find the best case scenario for my situation that allows me to meet with them. So I know Wednesday is my best day. And so while I can do video or in person, what's my best slot? I know at work, I have an hour break that starts at 11 o'clock. And so I'm going to select 11 o'clock, select the type of meeting. Now there's only video conferencing because that was only what was available when I selected that time slot. If I go back to one that has multiple, that's when you would select which one of those do you want to choose. So I know I want Wednesday. I know I want to meet over my lunch break, which starts at 11 o'clock. It'll be a video conferencing. And then we're going to, this is what's been selected. I'll click continue. And then lastly here, we're going to see the confirmation. We are submitting our request for the meeting based on the parameters that was given to us as the from the caseworker, given to me, the applicant. So you can see all the information here. We want make sure when we interact with our caseworkers, we always want to encourage them to be sure to read everything. That way they understand fully what's happening, that you've chosen a meeting type of video conference. It's going to happen on this day at this time, and you'll want to initiate your session from a device with a microphone and camera. So we want to make this as seamless as possible for them to be able to understand exactly what it is that we want them to do. Once they're done, they'll click submit. Now, from the applicant standpoint, they are done. This meeting has been scheduled. There's nothing else that they need to do, and they can actually get back in the same way they can return to their application. They can return to see the status by using their email address and getting the verification code. In the same way, they can come and see their appointments, because they may have multiple appointments scheduled. Maybe they've got one appointment scheduled for electricity, another one scheduled for rent, because it's handled by 2 different people. And it's from this point that they can come in, they can see the specifics, and as the applicant, this is when I would come back, and this is where I would join the meeting. When I'm ready for the meeting to start, I would click this link, and this will launch the integrated video conferencing that is already in place and being utilized in SAHelp. This also allows the applicant to come in and say, I'm not able to do this. I know I scheduled this. I need to do something different. I can come in and I can cancel my appointment. So that's how simple it is for the applicant to be able to fill out their appointment time request. Now let's look from the caseworker point of view. So now I'm the caseworker. I've gone in, and if I scroll down, starting last Thursday, you would have seen this appointment accordion be available on the applicant details. So here's the application that we're dealing with. This is all the information that was already there, our supporting documents, our comments and history. So now I have this accordion called appointments. Let me refresh my page since I submitted it, and you'll see here, be able to see the status on my appointment has been updated. It's been scheduled. It's going to be a video conference. It's at this amount of information. It's at this time on the 18th from 11 to 11:30. So here I have all of the information I need as the caseworker to say, when am I meeting with them? I can jump in when I'm ready to launch the meeting with them, when I'm ready to move forward, or any other actions. I'll click this edit pencil all the way to the right. So if I need to edit their appointment, if I need to, if they called me, maybe they didn't use the interface to cancel, but they called the office to say they need to cancel their appointment, all of these things can happen from multiple places, one of which being this accordion. So if I click this action here, I'm going to get into the specifics of this meeting request individually. And so there's a couple actions that I can do here. I can see the information about that. I can see who they're meeting with. I can start the meeting. So me, the caseworker, this is where I'm going to go to launch that meeting. There's a couple other spots I'll show you later, but this is one of the places you can go to start that meeting, right? At 11 o'clock on the 18th, when I'm ready to meet with them online, I'll go here and I will start that meeting. And while that meeting is taking place, I can be putting internal notes, comments about this meeting. Right now, comments can always be made with the application itself, but here you can make specific comments and notes regarding this call specifically. Things that you can then go back and utilize later for assessment, things that need to be kept as a part of this information. Maybe you are using this appointment to confirm the IDs. Rather than doing an impromptu meeting, part of this meeting is going to be confirming the IDs and birth certificates of everyone in the household. And so you can go through in your internal notes and just mark that you did indeed confirm that identification. So this is all of the information as it relates to this, and they can do a couple things here. You can mark them as a no-show. There are going to be times when you start your meeting and the person just never joins. And you want to be able to mark that to say, we scheduled it, they didn't cancel it, they just didn't show. And so you'll go in and you'll change the status to a no-show. You'll mark it as complete, or you can cancel it as the caseworker. If you're the caseworker and something has changed internally for you, and maybe you had to call out sick and someone has to adjust the schedule, you can go in and cancel that meeting and request a reschedule. So this is all of the different functionality that you can do from your seat as the case manager to manage the meeting with this client regarding this specific assistance request. Now, if I jump back, so this is kind of a very quick walkthrough of the interaction between the caseworker and the client. The caseworker will build out their settings, and then they'll submit a request. Now you may be saying, how do I submit a request for an appointment of a given applicant? I would do that also from this same detail page. I'll scroll back down to my assistant appointment requests. I'll open it, and you'll see here you've got two options. One option is to request an appointment. This is where you are, when I click this to open an appointment, it's going to give them options of what they can choose from, right? Remember, we want to give both the control of the caseworker to set their availability, while also giving the client the flexibility to be able to find what works best for them. So maybe they're not having to take time off work, and maybe they don't have to find a babysitter because they can schedule it while their kids are in school. Things along those lines. We want to think of the applicant as well. And so as I work through this appointment, it's a simple process. If I'm the caseworker, I simply just go from the top to the bottom, fill out what equates to 7 different fields, and then I'm ready to submit. So at the very top, because applicants have the ability to apply for multiple assistance requests, we also have the ability to only ask for meetings on specific assistance requests. But this, you'll notice, in the same way applicants have fields that are optional, not every field in this is optional, is required as well. You see, this is optional. So I want you to point you down here. So this is the message that's going to be sent, and I want you to see how it'll change as we change the assistance types. Right now, it shares that this concerns the application submitted on October 13th. Really straightforward. But if I selected electricity, now this gets altered. Now it concerns the application for electricity submitted on the 13th. And if I add a second one here, it'll say this, it'll be a way for you to group as many or as few together as you'd like. This is where you can go in and say, these are the requests I want. This is what I want to meet on. That's the first thing. The next one, 90% of you will only ever have one option here as it regards to meeting with. But if you are someone who is a caseworker director, or someone who has what's called the Can Manage SAHelp, the configuration component that sits on top, you can schedule a meeting with anyone in that service area. So I am in here as someone, a caseworker director. And so when I come in, I can assign it to myself, or I can say, you're going to meet with Susan Smith. And I can just go back and forth between the two, depending on who I want this person to meet with. And as the director, as the supervisor, I have the oversight to be able to give that directive. So we've got the assistance types, who we're meeting with, does the invitation expire? Again, this is another optional field, but this is where there are time restraints on any assistance request because of due dates, that if I'm going to get a check cut to keep you from being evicted, we have to have this all buttoned up by date X. And if it doesn't happen, then we don't need to move on, right? That this is something that's going to be in place. And so here you have the ability to set the expiration date. When do they have to schedule the appointment? This is not when they have to execute the appointment. So, and for instance, if we know that today is the 13th, we have to have everything done by the 19th. So I'm going to say you have to schedule by the 17th. By Tuesday, you have to pick what time we're going to meet if we're going to get a check cut out on that Friday. But our meeting can take place anytime from today through next Thursday, because if we finish everything on Thursday, then we can get the check cut on Friday. So this is how we would build. Again, this is an optional field. The date range is required. You can give them a full month if that's what's appropriate for this situation, but you'll be able to set the date range in this setting. You're almost done. You're getting really close. Next, you're going to set the length of appointment. From as little as 5 minutes, say, listen, I just need to hop on a phone call with you for 5 minutes. I need to ask you a quick question, but it has to be face-to-face. We can't do it through the chat feature. You can request a 5-minute meeting all the way up to a 2-hour meeting. So you've got a lot of granularity in how much time you want to carve out to meet with them. And so you'll set your time frame, say set 30 minutes. And then here you're going to say, this is where you are in control of the manner in which you want to meet with them. That you can say to them, I want to only meet with you in person. If that's the case, I'm going to unselect those 2 options. And then when they go into the feature that we showed you at the beginning, they would only see options in which they are in person. You can actually get even more granular, because as a part of the setup, which I'll show you in just a minute, you'll be able to set locations for your in-person meetings. Some caseworkers spend Monday and Wednesday in one location and Tuesday and Thursday in another location. And you can say that for me, all of my files regarding this individual are contained at location A. And so because of that, I'm only going to give them one location option. This configuration currently is set up to have only one location present, but this is where you can go in and you can also give them the option of any location. So I'll select the meeting types offered. I don't want to do a telephone call, but I want to be able to do a video conferencing and in person. And then the last thing you're going to do is give some additional information regarding what you're meeting with them on. Like you can say, we are discussing your lease agreement and costs. Or you fill in the additional information you need. You can remind them, please be sure to bring IDs for each household member because that's the purpose of this meeting. What you put here is going to give the applicant more information that they need in order to be as prepared for this appointment as possible. When you're done, you've entered in these 7 fields. You'll click confirm, and now they will be sent a meeting request. They'll get an email, they'll get a text if they've opted in for that. You might hear my computer ding because this is tied to my phone and I've opted in for text messaging, so I would get that notification. Until they've scheduled it, it's going to be determined. We don't know when it's going to happen, and we don't even know the type because they haven't selected it. It's only been requested. I won't go too much through this because I want to get to the configuration side, but you can either request an appointment or perhaps this is a second meeting that you're having with them, and rather than going through the back and forth of requesting an appointment, I just want to schedule my appointment with them. And so here it's going to be almost identical with a few less components because we don't have a date range because you're picking the date. So the same thing, I'm going to meet with you regarding electricity. You're meeting with me. It's going to be, this time it's going to be a 1-hour meeting. It's going to be a video conference, and then I'm going to go in and select a date and time. Now this should look familiar because now what you're seeing is you are seeing also the availability that you have configured. You don't have to remember what days am I available, what days do I want to do in person, what days do I want to do video conferencing. All of that is already contained in the configuration, which I'm going to go to in 2 minutes. So here I'll simply pick, we know we're going to meet on, let's see what availability we have on Friday. Okay, again, we know, oh, I know you want 11 o'clock, so that's not possible on Friday, so let's go ahead and go sooner. 11 o'clock is available on Thursday. Does that work for you? Great. I'll select that location, that time. I'll confirm. And so now they've got a scheduled appointment. I'll add additional information here because they will also receive an email confirmation of this appointment as well as be able to access this appointment in the future when they go back in and be able to, review their upcoming appointments. And you can type in additional information is needed regarding your identification. All right, I'll confirm, and now there's a scheduled meeting that's already in place. So these are the 2 ways you can schedule a meeting. Now I've referenced a couple times your availability, your system. What we don't want to have you do as a caseworker, you've got a lot of things on your plate. You don't need to be trying to juggle multiple things at once. We want to give you the ability to set your availability. And so at the very top, you'll see a tab that's called appointments. And so when I click on appointments, I'm going to be able to go in here. And now there's a couple things you'll see here. First off, you are seeing all of the appointments for, again, because I'm the caseworker director, I see everyone's. Most of you will only see your own. And so if I say I want to see all of the appointments that are scheduled and who they're meeting with, that they're meeting with Jeff. And so I can come in here, I can see these are the people, all of these are the applicants, and they're all meeting with Jeff, and they're already scheduled. And so I'm able to see that from an easy one point. I can even export this. My supervisor wants a report of all the meetings I did last week. I can set the date range. I can export that to an Excel. And so I am good to go. But when you're ready to set your availability, you'll click this button at the top called Manage Availability. So once you get in here, you're going to see I want to show you how easy it is for you to set a new schedule. And so what you open up, you'll see, who am I scheduling? I'm scheduling it for Jeff Marquis, the core officer. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set what range of time do I want to do. And you will set that. Many of us will be able to do large chunks of time that I know every week my availability is almost the same. And so I'm going to go in, I'm going to set a calendar for starting on November 1st, and I'm going to go all the way through January 1st, because this is my availability. This is my time zone that's already been determined, and now I'm going to set my availability. In my availability, I'm only in one location, so this is going to be really simple for me. So I'll opt in Monday. I'll say I'm going to start at 9 o'clock a.m. and I'm going to go to 12 o'clock when my lunch starts. And then I'll go through here and I can say, at this point, I've set my time frame, but now I'm going to say, how do I want to meet with people on Monday? Well, Monday mornings are tough. I don't want any in-person meetings. I only want to be available for video and telephone. All right, so I'm good. Now I can duplicate this to add the exact same time frame, or I'm going to add another row. So I'm done with lunch. I'm back at 1 o'clock. So I'm 1 o'clock p.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. And now I'm available for video conferencing and in person. So once I select in person, where am I meeting? Well, I only ever meet at one location. So I'm going to just type in and it will automatically fill out your address just as it does on the application. And so you select your address and then give them additional information around what it means to meet with you at this location. The perfect example I have is in my last appointment in Stuart, Florida, the social service entrance was on the side of the building up the ramp. It wasn't, once you knew it was there, it made sense. But if it was your first time coming to the building, this may be a new experience. So I would just simply put, please enter in on the right, on the left side of the building. Go up the ramp and ring the bell, right? And you can go and you can go through and you can put in as much information as you need to. There's 200 characters because it does need to go on a text message in a small box. But here you'll give information that they need as it relates to this location. Go through the first double doors, check in with the receptionist when you first get in. You set this information. So once I'm done, I'll confirm. So now you can see here that from 9 to 12, I'm video and teleconferencing. From 1 to 4, I am on video conferencing, telephone, and then in person, I can hover over this icon that gives me the information that I put. And I can say, do you want to know what? My schedule is the same every single day. I'm just going to duplicate this to the next day, all the way through to Friday. So now I've very easily set my schedule for every Friday, except on Friday afternoons, I don't want to do in person. It's Friday afternoons, I need to wrap up things before the weekend. I can simply come into this last meeting type here, go through, remove in person, confirm, and it'll update that last range for me. At this point, I have configured my entire calendar up through from November 1st through January 1st. So I'll save it. And so now I've entered in you'll see it right here, right? If I want to come in and edit it, I just click this edit pencil. I can delete it in its entirety. But this is here, I can still hover on these things to see when I'm meeting with them. But let's say you are going to be on vacation the week between Christmas and New Year's. And so you don't want to give that as an option. Now we have the last thing I want to show you here is this date override. So down here, I'm going to go in here, and this is where I'm going to override my previously scheduled for my one-off meetings. These are doctor's appointments that you know you have. These are changes because maybe it's Christmas season, and so all of your on Thursday and Friday, any in-person meetings, they have to come to the Christmas warehouse. You've got an office set up there, you're ready to go, but it gives you that flexibility. And so all I want to do is, remember, I want to be on vacation between Christmas and New Year's. And so on the 26th, this is a multi-select. I'm going to go 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. And I'm just going to make myself unavailable. And I'm going to say, why? Because of Christmas vacation. Confirm. And so now I've updated my availability to where even though my available schedule here goes through January 1st and it includes those dates between Christmas and New Year's, I've got Christmas vacation here. And you can see previous dates. I've got a doctor's appointment on the 28th, so I'm not available. I'm only available via phone from 2 to 4, or I'm unavailable because I'm taking a personal day on the 21st. This allows you to set larger chunks of time here at the top, and then at the bottom be able to include the kind of the one-offs. This is your holiday calendar, right? You're going to want to remove Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving because the Salvation Army is closed. This is where you're going to be able to see those components. The last thing I want to show you before we open it up for questions, don't forget to put those questions in the chat or raise your hand when the time comes, is to be able to show you a larger view of my day, right? We can look at that here, you can filter, you can do all those things, but some of us are visual people and they like to see these things on a screen in a more, maybe a traditional calendar approach. And so that's how we can use this calendar view here. So when I open up here, you'll see this legend that's here, right? I can see what if I'm unavailable. Everything in gray is when I'm unavailable. A date override is in the event, those situations where if I go forward to the 21st, you'll see here, this whole day is a personal day. If I hover on it, you can see it's been configured for that date. And as I can scroll through here, I can see exactly when my appointments are scheduled. Remember, we scheduled on the 18th and 19th for that application. I can see here as I get here that from 11 to 11:30, I'm with the applicant Jeff Marquis, and then I'm also with them again on Thursday from 11 to 12. And so I can go through and I can look at my calendar. I can see when I'm available. I can go through, I can look at the day by day or week by week. And this is just a really easy way for you to be able to see just kind of a quick review of my day. I don't know about you, but the first thing I do every single day is hop on my calendar and just see kind of a review the day and what's coming. And so this allows you to do so. You can do that. You can do that in the same way from this report here. I can put in filter options to be able to show me just today what's been scheduled. But this is how a way for them to be able to go through and see that component. So we are coming right up to time, but I do want to open up the floor for any questions. I'm not seeing any hand raised. I'm not seeing any questions in the comment, but I do want to be available. Just so we know that while we have scheduled this for 10:30 to 11 Central Time, I am going to be around as long as you would like. And so I'm going to be here to answer questions because this is already in our live. If you go onto your SAHelp account, you will see this functionality present right now, and we want to equip you, make you as well equipped as possible to be able to move forward. And so thank you guys very much for taking some time out of your very busy day and your very busy schedule to hear about this new feature. I look forward to hearing from many of you and seeing how this can be used in your command.